Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Red Donkey Projections. I'm Lucas, and sadly, Eric couldn't make it today, but he'll be back as soon as possible. But today we'll be taking a look at the chance of Chris Christie actually winning in first the 2024 Republican presidential primary, and then potentially in the general election. For those of you who don't know, Chris Christie is our former governor. We are from the state of New Jersey, so hopefully we can provide some insight into our thoughts on his chances. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Let's first start off by talking about his first run for president in 2016. He was actually considered a possible VP choice for Mitt Romney in 2012. He was one of the top options, but he eventually wasn't chosen. Then went to Paul Ryan. He ran actually as a lot further right than he usually labeled himself as. As governor, he more so labeled himself as a moderate, working with the state Democrats in the state legislature. However, he still got a lot of backing of moderate support, especially from Northeast Democrats, Northeast Republicans, such as Massachusetts Republican Governor Charlie Baker and Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. He had their support, and actually, we'll talk about this a little later. But he got a lot of controversy from them for endorsing Trump after he dropped out. But uh, for just a quick background, what happened was he was initially a frontrunner a little bit, but then after the Bridgegate scandal came out, we'll talk about that in a little later as well. He began to plummet, and he performed extremely poorly in the only two primaries he participated in, or rather, one caucus, one primary. And he's known for destroying Marco Rubio probably more than his actual presidential campaign during that one debate. But what happened after he dropped out? He would end up endorsing President Trump, former President Trump, ended up campaigning for him. And a lot of people really did not like this, especially in New Jersey. Donald Trump was very unpopular in New Jersey at the time, and still is. And as a result, his approval rating actually went down quite a bit. And him campaigning with Trump was an incredibly controversial move, as it says here. Even GOP lawmakers thought that he shouldn't serve as governor if he's out campaigning for Trump and not caring about his state that much. And again, we'll be talking about this a lot more. Anyway, he was considered for vice president uh, by nominee Trump at that point. He obviously was not chosen. He ended up being, I believe, the second option there, and obviously Trump chose Pence. But what really caused his downfall here? And again, it has to go back to Bridgegate. Donald Trump did not choose Christie to be his running mate because of Bridgegate. And let's discuss what Bridgegate was. It was a pretty complicated matter, but long story short, what happened was the Democratic mayor, I believe, of Fort Lee, New Jersey, did not want to endorse Christie for his re-election campaign in 2013. And as a result, I believe I forgot who it was, but I believe someone with the transportation department ended up closing all lanes in Fort Lee except for one. And as a result, there was a huge traffic. There was lots of traffic that day, and it caused huge controversy across the state. And even though Chris Christie was eventually cleared of it, the fact that it was his closest aides caused a great amount of controversy on him and left a stain on his governorship. So let's actually first discuss, Chris Christie's first term. Chris Christie's first term, he was actually very popular. He after his Hurricane Sandy handling, New Jersey and Saudi did a very good job. And he actually he got a little bit of trouble here in the Republican primary debate when Marco Rubio told him that he gave Obama a big hug or something. Or no, sorry, I think that might have been Rand Paul. Told him he got a big hug from Obama. Why don't you get another one? But that had to do with Hurricane Sandy, and people did think Chris Christie did a very good job. I believe he had like a 77% approval rating at that time, and he got reelected. in a complete landslide. He won 19 out of 21 counties in New Jersey, and this is insane considering how deep blue the state is. And it was a very low turnout election in 2013. This kind of did foreshadow the 2014 red wave midterms, but this was actually the first governor election I really closely followed, and that I watched. And I remember, being pretty shocked because, New Jersey is a very Democratic state, but this went to Christie by 22 points, which was insane. Winning Camden County, winning a lot of some here, the more Democratic counties. Everyone was, or yeah, most people were pretty surprised about the margin. We knew he was going to win, but definitely not the margin that he did in the counties he was able to carry here. So, what happened in his second term? A lot of things went bad. As you can see here, he was at the end of his term the least popular governor in the United States. 71% disapproval rating, and only 15% of New Jerseyans actually approved of him by June 2017, which was near the end of his term. He completely plummeted. And, Christie said didn't care because he wasn't running for office again, which was interesting because his lieutenant governor was actually running for office. And we'll discuss that a little after. But why did this happen? It was actually because of a couple of reasons. The first one I can think of off the top of my head was I believe there was a government shutdown in, I want to say 2013, 2012, 2013. And sorry, not 2013, 2016, 2017. There was a government shutdown in New Jersey. And, he closed the public beaches. And it was found out that he was actually on one of the public beaches. He got caught on camera. And it, a lot of memes came out of that started up controversy around him. Another one was, as I mentioned earlier, abandoning New Jersey to go and campaign. At first it was to campaign in Iowa, to campaign in New Hampshire. A lot of people questioned why he wasn't in New Jersey, caring about the state that much. And then after that, it was campaigning for Trump, and that also caused a ton of controversy. Well, why isn't he in the state? And the final thing was indeed the Trump endorsement. A lot of people didn't like that in New Jersey. Again, he was very Trump was very unpopular, especially among Democrats in New Jersey. And Chris Christie endorsing him really did not help. And I think a lot of people were a little surprised that Chris Christie turned down like a lot of cabinet offers from Trump. Trump offered him like chief of staff, secretary of Veterans Affairs. I think that they said it was because Christie said he didn't choose it because he wanted attorney general. But, a lot of people really didn't like his absences from the state of New Jersey for campaigning and caring about, the presidential elections more than really the state of New Jersey as the governor. So in 2017, as most of you know, it was a complete landslide for Phil Murphy. Or actually, no, I don't want to say it was a complete landslide. Sorry about that. But it was a pretty big win for Phil Murphy. It was a 14-point win. It was a flip from red to blue to Phil Murphy. So Kim Guadagno was Chris Christie's running mate. Oh, sorry. She was Chris Christie's running mate, but she was also the lieutenant governor at the time. She ran a very distanced campaign from Christie. She tried to distance herself as much as possible away from Chris Christie, because she knew how unpopular he was in the state. And essentially, I like to think of this election as kind of a referendum of Chris Christie. A lot of people in New Jersey still saw Kim Guadagno as, a Christie 2.0. And a lot of people didn't want another Chris Christie-esque governor again after his term. And no surprise here, Kim Guadagno was basically, it looked like she was going to lose from every single poll. It looked like she was going to lose. And a lot of prediction sites had this one as like likely D, likely even safety, which is no surprise. Chris Christie, he got his name really tarnished from everything that happened during his governor campaign. So now let's think about what chance does Chris Christie really have at winning? And the most interesting thing to me was seeing that Chris Christie saying that he would give Trump an A for his presidency. This was an article that came out this year, I believe. And, I'm actually kind of conflicted on this because Chris Christie did, I guess, like the first term of Trump's campaign, Trump's presidency, because he did volunteer for, I don't think he volunteered, but he offered Trump's support for the debate in the re-election campaign. But then he did end up criticizing, and rightfully criticizing, Trump for lying about the election and saying that his influences on the insurrection were definitely impeachable. You know, I was surprised that he didn't dock Trump more for that. You would think that, because of that, because Trump tried to undermine our democracy, he'd dock it to like C or D. But that didn't end up happening. And my theory for this is because he's trying to get that Trump base in the primary. Chris Christie knows that if he wants to win the Republican primary, he's got to get the Trump base behind him. And that's like the majority of Republicans. The majority of Republicans do still like Donald Trump. They still favor Trumpism. And they want Trump to have, still a mark on the Republican Party, even if he doesn't run. So that's why a lot of people are seeing Ron DeSantis potentially as the second type of Trump candidate. And Republicans really wish to back a candidate like that in a primary. But Chris Christie speaking out against, and again, rightfully speaking out against the ridiculous claims of voter fraud in the election, it likely did hurt him with the GOP base, sadly, because they do like Trump this much. They believe what he's saying, that it's really going to harm him. So this A rating, to me, it's a signal to me that maybe he is planning on running for president. And again, he did offer a lot of help to Trump in the re-election campaign, trying to go against Trump, and I think he definitely did vote for Trump in the election. And the second reason why he has pretty much no chance of winning, honestly, even if he were to win the Republican Party, first of all, that's very unlikely given the state of the Republican Party right now, how they've completely backed Trump basically on everything. The second of all is his popularity. It's like terrible. You have not only Democrats hating him. Look at this. This net negative with Democrats is so low, but it's also Republicans. Republicans don't view him favorably either. Maybe before it was a little higher, and this was during the first couple of years of his governorship. Look at this Democratic support at 2012 to 2013. This was during Governor Sandy, but during Hurricane Sandy, he was pretty popular at that time. But after Bridgegate, after the Trump endorsement, after everything that happened, and him leaving the state so much and not really caring about the people, it caused his numbers to completely plummet. Not just from Democrats, but from Republicans too. He would be an incredibly unpopular person running, and quite honestly, I think he would run as a further right person, a further right candidate, in order to win that Republican primary. But that's going to severely hurt him in the general election, and I do expect him to end up losing a lot of the suburbs to whoever the 2024 presidential nominee is. Probably going to be Joe Biden. He's probably going to lose a lot of those suburbs to him if he does run that more right-wing campaign. So, this is our video for today, and this is exactly why we really don't think Chris Christie really has a shot at winning. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. If you like this episode, please hit like button. If you like our content, please subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode tomorrow. See ya.